excited tonight. I really am. You know, well, Kevin, I'm just, like I said, I'm excited to be able to be on tonight, to be able to share with everyone, And before we start, I want to end up going into prayer. Hallelujah, Father. God, I just thank you. Because, Father, you are faithful, God, in all of your ways. God, you have given us life, health, and strength. God, you have given us all things that pertain to life and godliness. Father, you are so good. God, beyond how words can compare. God, they can't really comprehend how good you truly are. There is no words for it, God. But God, I just thank you for this moment, God, this opportunity, God, to be able to share your word, God, with other fellow believers, God, that we may be able to grow together, God, that we may, even inside of being in different places, God, that we may be able to fellowship one with another and be able to experience your presence together in unity. God, I thank you. Because, Father, you know how to make all things new. God, you know how to make all things excellent and great and wonderful. So, God, I thank you. I bless you. I lift you up, God. And I ask, Father, that even on this night, God, that you be glorified. God, I'm asking, Father, that you speak, God. Prepare the hearts to receive your word. That way, God, a transition may happen, God, inside of our lives. That we may experience phenomenal encounters with you, God, on all different types of levels that we may have read about, God, that we may have experienced before, that God, or even not even thought of before. God, have your way. Because, Father, all I know is that you are faithful and you are forever faithful. So, God, I thank you. I bless you and I praise you. And we ask of all these things, God, in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I just want to start off by introducing myself. Not just for the people who already know me, because I know that everybody that's on Frontier Faith Life right now, they know me. But for those who may view through YouTube, through Facebook, and through other means of the internet service, that my name is Minister Derrel, and I just appreciate the opportunity to be able to share with y'all tonight what God has given unto me, and I just appreciate Bishop Stephen Yates and Miss Chanita Yates also for this opportunity, because they make it so that ministry is easy. Like ridiculously easy. And they'll give you all of the teaching and all of the rudiments that is needed to be successful inside of ministry, and I appreciate them inside of everything that they have done inside of my life, and I appreciate all of our elders and leaders, that's ministers, that's deacons, and even all of the people that are in their respective places. I appreciate all of you because every one of you have a part to play and every part is needed, and we're just gonna go ahead and get started. And tonight, I just want to end up sharing some things where Bishop Yates had left off at, and that's in the book of Proverbs. And with the book of Proverbs, we see that it is often called the book of wisdom. With that being said, I like what Bishop always said also, he was not the wisest man. But the thing about it is, I understood that to gain wisdom, what I needed to do was actually read, not just read just anything. But it was like people told me, it was like, if you want to have wisdom, read the book of Proverbs. So I was like, okay. So I ended up getting my Bible, reading, and I read it, and I just did just that. I read it. But then I ended up asking people, how do you get certain other things out of it that I didn't see at first? They was like, well, you got to read it in a different way. So I was like, okay. you know, me being a natural man at one time, I was like, the way I comprehended it was, you got to do it in a different way that you've never done it before. So normally I sat down on the sofa, cracked open my Bible and started reading. So that was like, read it in a different way. You know what I'm saying? I was like, okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show God how much I want wisdom. So I'm gonna do exactly that. I'm gonna take him at his letter. So I laid down on the floor. I put my back on the floor and I put my legs in the chair and I started reading my Bible upside down, just to prove to God how much I wanted wisdom. And that's, like I said, that's what the people told me. It was like, read it in a different way. So I'm trying to cover every basis just to make sure that God meet me right there with giving me wisdom. So, like I said, that was an experience that I would never forget. But we're gonna go ahead and keep going and start in the book of Proverbs. And like I said, Bishop ended up leaving off in chapter 4. And we're gonna start at verse number 8. It says, exalt her, and she shall promote thee. She shall bring thee to honor when thou dost embrace her. Matter of fact, we're going to go step back one verse. Matter of fact, we're going to go back to verse 6. Sorry about that. It says, get wisdom. And I'm reading from the King James Version. It says, forsake her not. No, we're going to start at verse 5. Sorry about that. I'm looking right at it because I don't have my glasses on. Oh my gosh. That would have been wisdom to wear glasses. It says, get wisdom, get understanding, forget it not. Neither decline from the words of my mouth. Forsake her not, and she shall preserve thee. Love her, and she shall keep thee. Wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding. And whenever I started reading the book of Proverbs, I mean, certain things, certain words started jumping out to me. And one of the things that, before I start actually picking out these words, I'm gonna end up explaining and giving definitions for the word knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Knowledge, which is labeled as facts, information, and skills acquired by a person through experience or education, the theoretical or practical understanding of a subject. Wisdom. It is the quality of having experience, knowledge, and good judgment. It's the quality of being wise. Also, it's the soundness of an action or decision with regard to the application of experience, knowledge, and good judgment. Understanding. It is a psychological process related to an abstract or physical object, such as a person, a situation, or a message, whereby one is able to think about it and use concepts to deal adequately with that object. Understanding is a relation between the knower and the object of understanding. And I'm gonna end up going back to verse 9. In verse 9, it says, she shall give to thine head an ornament of grace. A crown of glory shall she deliver to thee. Now, like I said, when I read those scriptures, certain words just almost jump out off the page. And the first word that we're gonna see end up jumping out is in verse 10. It says, hear, O my son, and receive my sayings, and the years of thy life shall be many. Like I said, the first word that jumps out to me was hear. And the definition of hear, which in the Hebrew is translated as Shema or Shemay. And the definitions of it is as follows: to hearken, to obey, to publish, to understand, to be obedient, to be diligent, to declare, to discern or perceive, to hear with attention or interest, or to give heed. And also, when I talk about the word here, I also want to give to you another definition of another word, and that's the word listen. The definition of the word listen is this: it's the ability to accurately receive and interpret messages in the communicative process. Without the ability to listen effectively, messages are easily misunderstood. And the reason why I ended up picking out these two words and giving definition is because I know that these two words are very similar because they actually use the same faculty in which they move. But at the same time, they are also different, and I'll give you some examples of the such. Like on my job, we have certain things, as in like walls, fences, partitions, you can call them borders, or whatever else you want to call them, but they end up being put in place to create a separation, to create space, to create boundaries, to create lines of distinction that shouldn't be crossed. And with this, with the job that I have, you will come in contact with a lot of different people. You have some smart people, super smart, but they might not have executed that smartness at the right time. They didn't use their brain, but they use their brain not in the proper manner, but they use it in a uncivilized type of way. So with them in these separations, like I said, they create space. So on the job, like I said, you have listening and hearing. You see that listening can easily, if it's not done effectively, it can be easily misunderstood. So with these walls being in place and space being created, we see that if I'm at the goal line, right? If we're on a football field, for example, if I'm on the goal line and Troy is on the other end zone, on the other side of the field, I can't probably effectively say certain things and he clearly understand me. Kind of like how the game used to be when people used to play it called a telephone. You could be right here in somebody's ear and say something. By the time you turn your head and say it to the next person, then they hear it, then you tell it to the next person, then they hear it. By the time you get to the end, like 3 feet down, you won't hear the same thing. The same thing wasn't transponded when it first was let out. So listening is important. So, but the thing about it is, like I said, you have to be in a certain type of place to be able to do it effectively. So with that being said, we have guys who are in different places at the same time, but different places, and there's a lot of space in between. So you know that they can't talk and be heard. So they done created different ways to communicate. One of the ways that I done seen was being able to be successful at lip reading. I mean, like you can end up saying something and a person can't hear your voice, but can actually read, just like how people could be talking and the volume is on mute, but I could end up reading your lips, the way your lips move, and understand exactly what you're saying. But I'm not, like I said, I'm not that experienced at it. So I will completely misunderstand what you just said. And I'll be like, okay, what he just said was this, and this. And I was like, because I didn't hear it, that's the way I'm used to receiving information, I totally mess it up. But these guys are so successful at lip reading that, it's ridiculous. They could actually tell you exactly what you said in the manner that you said it, even though they ain't hear what your voice said. So I'm like, wow, And then you have people who might not be successful at lip reading. They done mastered hand signals, like A, B, C, D. It might be kind of backwards because I'm on the camera, but you get the picture. You know, they done successfully done mastered the hand signal, sign language. And it got to the point where they got new signals and they done created that only they know. So with that being said, I'm just like, wow, how is that possible? But they understand that if I can't hear you, to be successful at communicating, I have to find other ways of communicating. And like I said, I want to end up putting emphasis on those two words, listening and hearing, because they will come up later. It's very important. And the next word that I want to highlight is the word receive. That's in verse 10. We see the word receive in the definition as follows. In the Hebrew, it's labeled as lakah, which means to take or to take away, to fetch, to bring, to carry away, to wow, my lips are not actually functioning the way I'm supposed to say it. Procure, to take possession of, to capture, to seize. And that's the type of verbiage that Solomon wants us to emphasize whenever we are reading the Proverbs, whenever we're listening to the Proverbs. He don't want you to just have it or just be in the room where it's being spoken of, and we just lackadaisically just, oh, I'm listening to it, just like how we sit on our couch or in a rocking chair in our backyard and listen to music. We shouldn't entertain the word like that, but we should actually seize it. We should actually keep it. We should actually take hold of it, that we may be able to get something out of it. And one of the things that I want to end up saying is this. We have to understand and come to grips that wisdom has a way. Wisdom has a way about doing things. Wisdom has a certain emotion or thought when followed. Also meaning wisdom is a way, like a road, a journey, a path, a direction, a manner, or even like a habit. And when I say whenever wisdom is put on full display, it produces a certain emotion. One of the scriptures that basically gives a prime example of this wisdom being put on display is in 1 Kings chapter 3, verse 5, where it talks about Solomon. And with Solomon, he is labeled as like the wisest man. And in the way that he got it wasn't by just like studying things, but he ended up having a dream, and God was in the dream. And God asked him, what did he want? And he responds, I want wisdom, so that I'll be able to deal with your people, and so I can go out to and fro and be able to really deal with them with wisdom, how I'm supposed to deal with them. And God was like, you know what? Now that's awesome. Just like how he said when he said, let there be light, he said it was good. It was like, it was one of those types of moments. He was like, it was good. So he gave Solomon wisdom. So what happened was Solomon, he wake up from the dream, you know what I'm saying? He get the crust out his eyes and everything. And be like, man, I was in a dream. So I'm like, okay, you know what? All right. So he go to Jerusalem, right? He go and do some burnt offerings and everything he has to do. And he goes before the Ark of the Covenant and stand there. And what happened is you got these two women walk up on them. You know, these two ladies, they ended up having babies, right? One of the ladies had a baby on probably like a Monday. You had another lady had a baby like on like a Wednesday or a Thursday. So they off in there, they standing before them. And the situation was that one of the ladies had the baby and she was, you know what I'm saying, she probably been on and fed the baby and they go to sleep. The other lady, she feed her baby and go to sleep. So one of the ladies, let's just say this lady, the first lady, she go and forget that she live and sleep inside of a twin size bed, right? You know, the bed that I have is like a California king size bed. So with a California king, to those who may not know, you have the ability and the capacity to actually do some gymnastics and roll over like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times to the left and still be on the bed. You know, then you can actually roll to the right a couple times and still be, you know what I'm saying? You still have cushion. So she must have forgot that she actually didn't own one of those at the time. So she got the baby in the bed with her. She rolled over. I mean, the bed probably got hot on one side and she was rolling to the cold side and she rolled right on the baby. So, oh man. So she go and find out, well, basically wake up and see that the baby, she done killed the baby. Like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. This is a situation I really don't want to be in. But she go and look to the side. She see a homegirl over there, and she had a baby too. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if the other lady realized what type of hair the baby had, or you know what I'm saying, what kind of muscle structure the baby had, or whatever. But or maybe it was just dark. It wasn't no lights in the house or something. But she go and switch out the baby, right? So in the morning, the other girl, she go back to sleep. You know what I'm saying? She remember now I got a twin size bed, so she go back to sleep, but she was supposed to be at it first. So they wake up, you know, one lady done did the swipe or no swiping moment and took the lady baby, and the other lady, like, she wake up like, hold up, this ain't my baby. You know what I'm saying? I gave birth to my baby and I know what my baby look like. You know, my baby smell a certain type of way. I bathe her with, you know what I'm saying, some Johnson & Johnson. You know what I'm saying? I rub them down with baby oil and lotion and all that stuff. So I know what my baby smell like. So they was looking like, no, you got it wrong. You know what I'm saying? You got to remember that I borrowed some of your baby oil and lotion too. So my baby smell the same as your baby do. So they was like, no, that's my baby. They was like, nah. No, don't touch my baby. You know what I'm saying? Give me 50 feet now. I don't mind hitting you in the eye right now about my baby. So they go to Solomon, you know, and they was like, man, that's my baby, Solomon. He just looking like, you know what? I hear what you're saying. So he sat back and chilled like Judge Joe Mathis. So he gonna listen to both sides of the story. So he's sitting there. Go ahead and say your part. You the plaintiff, you know what I'm saying? Go ahead. No, that's my baby. No, and okay, I hear you. Defend it. Go ahead. Tell me why it's your baby. Well, this is what I'm saying. This is my baby. You know what I'm saying? I just had it. Okay. You know what? I ain't the daddy, so I don't know who babies is who. So I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna be fair. I like to be a fair guy. I ain't on the left side or the right side, but I'm on the side that's righteous. So I tell you what. I know I got a knife around here somewhere, one of these katana swords that Bishop was talking about. I know I got one of them. So, and I know it's sharp. So what I'm gonna do both of y'all a favor. Because one person got a dead baby and don't nobody know whose is what, and both of y'all say, I'm gonna tell you what, both of y'all gonna have the same situation. We gonna divide the baby in half. So inside of that happened, the one lady who actually swiped the baby, swipe the baby, she go and be like, yeah, go ahead and divide them, cut them. Other lady who was the real mother of the baby, she probably ended up hearing the type of saying that we have going on right now in the world, where it's like you gotta fight for basically your right, basically. In other ways, I'm gonna fight for what I love. But inside of this type of situation, I'm seeing that me fighting for what I love would actually get my baby killed. For me up there standing up and knowing that I'm right. I'm righteous in this moment. I know this. But me standing my ground will actually get my baby killed. So you know what? I gotta do something that everybody is not doing right now. I'm gonna have to end up laying down my right to be right. And so that, because if I end up doing that, that will give my baby an opportunity to live, even though it's not with me, because of the love that I have for it. So the lady was like, you know what? Okay, you know what? Solomon, don't cut the baby. Give this lady the baby, let her have it. Solomon seeing that he had just gained this wisdom from God himself. Was like, you know what? Hold up, stop. Don't swing nothing now. Let me get the baby. So they go and give the baby to Solomon. You know, Solomon go and end up giving the baby to the lady who actually was in turn laying down what she felt like she deserved or was right inside of. But the thing about it is, with her laying it down, she showed the compassion of a real mother. And Solomon was like, now that's the real mother. And whenever Solomon exemplified and put wisdom on full display, it actually left the whole kingdom with an explanation. You like, you know what, man, that right there was crazy. Because I couldn't have been the one to tell whose baby it really was. But that right there didn't come, that type of wisdom, that was on a whole nother level right there. You couldn't have made this up. That had to be God. And it put actual reverence for the wisdom of God inside of the fear and inside of the hearts of the people whenever they heard about Solomon putting forth this type of wisdom. And like I said, that whenever wisdom is put on display, it actually generates an emotion or even a thought inside of the onlookers whenever they see wisdom put on display. All right, and I'm just gonna keep reading. And it says, "Hear, O my son, receive my sayings, and the years of thy life shall be many. I have taught thee in the way of wisdom. I have led thee in right paths. When thou goest, thy steps shall not be straitened," or basically mean hindered. "When thou runnest, thou shalt not stumble." And with that being said, I know and understand that on the route to becoming mature, it actually takes training and it takes some conditioning that is actually involved inside of the growth process. And I have two friends who, I wouldn't say that they're coaches, but they're just like coaches, and that's Mr. Charlie Wright and Mr. Brian Wall. And with these guys, they can end up producing, eating regimen. They can probably show you how to get abs on top of abs, and I'm talking about calf muscles that look like something that only could be drew up somewhere. I mean like something crazy. But they are capable of being able to produce that things. And a coach is a person that's skillful in the craft and is capable of teaching others inside of that way. And I'll say this. I'm not the smallest guy, but I have muscles, right? And the thing about it is that in middle school, I ran track a couple times. You know what I'm saying? It might not have been the full track, but it might have been like the 40-yard dash a couple times for a letter grade. So, and I did that even in high school. But one of the things that I never had the courage to do was jump hurdles. And I'm like, nah, hurdles is something that scares me every time I look at them. Because I'll be the guy who might trip over the hit. I mean, I'll fall before I jump. I might slip on the concrete and fall, and the hurdle might hit me in the throat or something. That's what I'm thinking. So I don't even deal with hurdles. But the thing about it is that I ended up watching a video about hurdles by a guy, an Olympic coach teaching a guy how to jump hurdles, right? And one of the things that the guy said was that there's a method in the way that you do it. He told him you have to have basically correct foot placement. Even before you jump, you have to have correct leg placement while you jumping over the hurdle. While you in the air, your legs have to be a certain type of way. And then after you get over the hurdle, at a certain moment in time, your feet have to hit the ground so that you can prepare for the next hurdle, so that you don't hurt yourself. And with that, I mean, I was just like, wow, because the thing is, you can end up falling. And whenever you fall, that can hinder your movement. And you really don't want that. And I would say this also, whenever you're in full stride and you jumping over these hurdles, you actually get to the opportunity. Whenever you could successfully do this, you gain knowledge, which in turn generates into wisdom. And when those situations comes that wisdom is applied to, it actually produces understanding. You know, now, like I said, that's even with just running hurdles. Because the thing about it is that whenever you jump a hurdles and it's in like competition, everybody has their own lane. Everybody has hurdles. And whenever you don't prepare the right type of way, if you don't condition yourself to eat right or condition yourself to stretch, you can end up jumping over a hurdle and not applying the wisdom that you've been given inside of the teachings and the trainings, and mess around and mess up your stride. Then next thing you know, you try to jump over the next hurdle because you didn't successfully jump over this hurdle. Now you have a problem jumping over the second hurdle. Now you try to make up that to try to jump over the third hurdle. And the thing about it is that with all of that being said, after you get through with the race, there's a judge end up judging how you did, you know, and not just that alone, but there's a possibility if you don't apply what you've learned, there's an opportunity that you could really hurt yourself or even hurt other people. So, like I said, we have to always apply the wisdom that was put inside of our training, you know, because like I said, whenever we do that, we understand how and why these things are put in place. Why, whenever you jump, you have to place your foot a certain type of place. Once you do that successfully, you'll know that, oh man, this becomes easy. Once I do this, it actually gives me more momentum. It actually pushes me and propels me for the next one. So, like I said, whenever we do that, it helps us inside of the long run. And also, I just want to end up sharing with y'all about this. Okay, I have a situation. Not really a situation. It's kind of like a testimony type of way, but it shows how knowledge, wisdom, and understanding came into play inside of my own life. And one of the things that Bishop referenced last week was wisdom promoting you. And that was in verse 8 in Proverbs. And that was, like I said, I'll read it for you real quick. And it says, exalt her, and she shall promote thee. and shall bring thee to honor, and when thou dost embrace her. With that, it was, I would say it has been something, because inside of my life, I had a lot to deal with. And with coming to Frontier, I would say certain scriptures didn't come to life until it was ministered a certain type of way or in a certain type of vein. And the thing that Bishop is forever faithful inside of saying is that some men plant, some men water, but we have to always remember that God is the one that gives the increase. So with that being said, he ended up, like I said, reciting the verse about wisdom promoting. And the thing about it was, like I said, about the some in plant, some in water, but God get an increase. That's in 1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 6. And also another thing that Bishop ministered at the same time is that it's in this is scripture in 2 Chronicles chapter 20, verse 20. And it says, believe in the Lord your God, so shall you be established. Believe his prophets, so shall you prosper. And the thing about it was, he ended up ministering that. And I was just like, man, you know what? I got this job where I work every other Sunday, right? And I'm like, man, because we see the vision statement and we see how we desire to be able to be together and experience the presence of God together in unity. You know, there's things that can get added inside of your life just by being with other people, even though right now it's not feasible 100% to be able to be together because of COVID. But at that time, I was like, I just wanted to be at church because, I mean, it was just a blessing to be around everybody. I'm talking about the kids. I'm talking about older people. I mean, everybody you might not even agree with inside of some areas. You know what I'm saying? I like green Play-Doh. You like blue Play-Doh, but it doesn't matter. We're together. We can make, you know what I'm saying, purple or together. But the thing about it was that I wanted to be at church with everybody else. And I was like, man, I just want to be there to be able to hear the word. And I don't want to always have to view it on replay when I could have been there. You know what I'm saying? My wife would come home and be like, man, service was so awesome. You should have been there. I'm talking about, it was crazy. It was just ridiculous. I'm just lost without words. I mean, that was, she'll come home and tell me after work. And I'm just like, how did you even tell me all of that? And you know, I had to work. You know, I wanted to be there, but I couldn't. So I'm just like, man, I say, you know what, God, you have Bishop keep saying the same thing. We say, believe his prophet, so shall. Okay, you know what? I'm going to do it. So he also ministered the scripture where it says, how did he say it? I'm just lost without words right now. But what he said was basically, when you ask for something and pray, believe that you're going to receive it without doubting. So I'm like, you know what? Inside of my situation, me being at work and not being at church, I don't have nothing to lose. You know, but if I end up praying and don't nothing happen, I lost nothing. But if it messes around and work, oh man, I actually got what I was looking for the whole time. So I was like, you know what, God, this time I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna actually try it. I'm gonna try you at your word. I'm just gonna do it. Face value. So I made it up in my mind. I actually kind of like cemented it in my mind. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna actually do this and see what's gonna happen. You know, you say you're not as a respectable person, so I'm gonna do it. So I was like, God, I'm gonna do it. So I mean, like I said, I know I keep repeating that, but it just kept happening like that. So all of a sudden, God told me to stop. I mean, as soon as I'm about to pray, he said, stop. I'm looking like, what? So he was like, hey, this is what I want you to do. I know it's gonna sound crazy, but I want you to pray this prayer in front of your coworker. Because my job at the time was I'm riding around in circles for hours and hours and some more hours, and sometimes 16 hours. I mean, sometimes 18 hours. I mean, I'm riding around in circles doing donuts like a NASCAR driver. I'm talking about circles and donuts. So he said, go pray this prayer in front of your coworker, because this prayer has a dual purpose and it comes with a dual blessing. I'm like, okay. All I heard was dual purpose and dual blessing. So that's two. So I'm like, oh snap! I know I'm finna get something now. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what he gonna get, but I know what I'm finna get. So I go over there. I'm like, man, hey, I call him on the radio. I said, hey, meet me in the back, you know. So we met in the back. I said, man, I got something to tell you. I know it's gonna sound crazy, but I'll just let me tell it to you. Just let me tell it to you. So he was like, all right, I'm listening. I said, man, God told me that I was supposed to pray this prayer in front of you because he gonna give me the job that I want. And at the same time, he gonna show you that prayer actually works, that he answers prayer, and that prayer is not something that only works for grandmothers and grandfathers. Because, I mean, like I said, at the time, young people they weren't doing it like that. But that's what he said. So I'm like, man, I'd be crazy not to. So I was like, God, I thank you. Because the job that you said that I can have, even though it may look crazy, but God, you said to do. You said to pray. You said believe and not doubt. So God, I thank you. I'm about to thank him, and I ain't even got the job yet. But I was like, God, I thank you. I appreciate you, God, that you're gonna give it to me. So time goes on, right? And what happened is like I said, the job that I wanted, an older gentleman had the job, this certain position. And just so happened, he ended up getting sick. Not saying that I prayed for his sickness. No, let me just clarify that now. I didn't do that. I just asked for a job. The guy, he got sick and had to retire early. Like that same weekend. Like I was working that Thursday. That I was off that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That Friday, the guy came to work, got sick, and had to retire early that Friday, the next day. So me at home, not knowing that, I ain't paying no attention to it, because I don't know what's going on at the job. I'm at home on my off day. So mind you, like I said, I prayed this prayer in front of my coworker. So Saturday come, the lady who was working with the guy who had to retire, she was considering like, man, I don't know who to pick to work with. So that she said that Saturday, she said that Sunday, that Monday, can you guess who she ended up talking to about trying to pick somebody for the job? It wasn't me though. It wasn't me. It was the actual guy that I prayed the prayer in front of and told God what I wanted. What God told me to pray in front of him. So that was the person that she went to and be like, man, I don't know who to pick for this position. So he was like, man, that's crazy that you'll say that. Graham, he said, man, I'm gonna tell you what happened. I know it's gonna sound crazy. Graham ended up praying this prayer, and he told me God said he was gonna give him the job. And now this man done retired, and now you asking me out of everybody who to pick for this job. And I'd be crazy not to say him, because it was like one of them Joseph and the Baker and Butler type of moments. I ended up saying, hey, he said to pray in front of you. I don't know why, but I'm just obeying. But that was the reason why. So long story short, I got the job. Then what happened next was I'm awesome at this job, right? I know I got like 6 people that I'm working with. Okay, I'm doing good. Months go by. Next thing I know, I get a supervisor who doesn't like me. Next thing you know, he tried to get me fired. So he was like, okay, I'm gonna put you inside of a position where I know you're gonna get fired. I know you're gonna do bad. But I'm just like, God, this doesn't make sense. The supervisor put me inside of a position to get me messed up. But I'm just like, God, I know that your word says that you can change and make it so that all things work together for my good. So I go, I was like, God, I'm trusting you on this scripture. All I got is scripture. So what happened is I'm in the job working it. Now I got like about 1,000 people under me. Now I'm a supervisor for 1,000 people. And then what happened is I don't see why. I don't see why God put me here, but I was like, okay, God, whatever I'm working double duty, I'm working 2 jobs and getting paid 1 paycheck. So I'm like, God, I don't see what you're doing, but okay, I trust you. Okay, time go on. The guys who I work with, they see that I don't complain at work. I'm just doing the job and I'm doing it with a smile. And what one of the guys asked me was, he asked me, say, Graham, why is it that you do this job and don't fight with the superiors and demand that they do this, that, and the other? I say, man, I know inside of God's timing, he'll do whatever he has to do to get me the way I need to be at. But right now, in this moment, I see that my purpose is that I was placed here for you. And he was like, what do you mean? I said, okay. I said, I have this box, right? Well, let's just use my Bible, for example. I know it's an old looking Bible, but the thing about it is, I asked the guy, I said, what do you see? And like, imagine this was the case for safety glasses. And the guy was like, I see a case for safety glasses. And I say, okay, you said it right, because that's what it is. I say, but now when I look at it, and I said, I see it from the perspective of why I've been placed here in the position that I have in your life. I said, I see what the manufacturer has made this to be and what people use it for. I say, but that's not the only way that I see this. I see that this could be something different. And he was like, he said, okay. I said, okay, I'll show you. I said, I could take the glasses out of this case and put a sandwich, some Fritos, and a drink in it, and put an ice pack in it. And now this thing done went from like a safety glasses case, and I done turned it into a lunchbox. And he just sat there and looked at me, and I was like, the thing about it is, that's the position that God has given unto me inside of your life, is to be able to give you things that'll help you become transformed, not just on the outside, but from the inside out. That way, people, you may look the same, but the thing about it is that the contents that's on the inside will be transformed, and it could actually make it so that you are capable of doing other things other people didn't never consider that you were capable of doing. And I was just like, that's the purpose of the reason why I got put inside of this position. I say just for you, not just for you, but for that type of principle, for me to understand that all things work together for the good to those who love God and who are called according to his purpose. And I was just like, God, you are so awesome and so magnificent in all of your ways. He'll have me get put aside of an unfavorable situation just so that certain principles and certain sayings and certain scriptures can get instilled inside of people's lives so that they can actually become transformed by the renewing of their mind. So after I told the guy at work that, he just looked at me, it's like, Graham, you know what? I'm scared of you. I'm looking like, why? Because he was like, because your thinking is on a whole nother level. I have to not just be just regular with you. I have to actually always be on guard, because if I don't be on guard, I could be transformed just by being around you and listening to the things that you say. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, oh man, that's awesome. But like I said, that was like one of the situations where I ended up seeing knowledge turn into wisdom, and wisdom actually become understanding. And then, and like I said, inside of that, that's not the only situation that it actually resides there, but I get the opportunity to carry that inside of other situations that with understanding will actually be the thing that I eat on. That's where I reside at, you know, and I'm just, like I said, blessed to be able to share with you about the book of Proverbs, because like I said, it truly is an awesome book. And I know that with studying and being able to apply these things inside of your own life, God has great encounters for each and every single one of us. And that's with people who have titles, people who don't have titles, people who may have titles in the future. Like I said, God loves all of us, and we all have an important part to play in the grand scheme of things. So like I said, whenever we come to service, whenever we sit in front of our computers and log on to Frontier Faith Life, let's always desire to not only listen to what is being said, but to actually take hold and to seize and to capture those moments that God has given unto us. Because like I said, whenever we do these things and hold them near and dear to our hearts and decide to actually apply it in our lives, it will actually produce encounters that not only we will walk away with, but others will also. So I thank you for joining us on tonight, you know, and I just bless God, just like I said, for the opportunity to be able to share inside a Bible encounter. Amen.
Good night, everyone.
Amen.
Bye, everyone. Night.
Bye.
See you next week.
Yeah.
Good night, brother.